The original play of The Bacchae by Euripides is about an event that happens to the city of Thebes where Dionysus, the god of like wine and theater and madness and all these good things, has come to town and stung the women and sent them into the woods where they're kind of losing their minds and dancing and reveling and all these great things are happening. While meanwhile, all the men in the town are freaking out. We were interested in not being in the city. We were interested in the version of the story that takes place at the party.
We were commissioned by the Lewis Center for the Arts to open up the new Lewis Center complex.
Specifically the Wallace Theater.
One of the things that's interesting about working in a university with students is that a part of like building the play together is also teaching them what it means to make theater together. What's great about a show like this is that they're kind of essentially learning what it means to make theater professionally.
I got a grant between my second and third years to study physical comedy with street mimes in Italy!
We had this really profound moment early in our rehearsals where we noticed that the students were kind of asking permission to make choices. They kept asking questions like, is it this way or is it this way? And we had to be like, well guys, you know, no one's ever done this before. So, you know, you are doing this for the first time ever. So there is no real answer, right? And that you're gonna make the answer, right? And I think that was a really important shift for them to internalize because it was like, that's actually being an artist, right? It's like you are a part of the discovery. You are doing the discovery.
So when that train car I was in jumped the track and started somersaulting down that hill, and I felt my spine snap against the top of the roof, I was like, oh my God!
It was really important in the casting of GURLS to kind of be super duper inclusive in that process. We wanted people from all levels of experience, if that makes sense, you know?
Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I feel in rehearsal rooms a great sense of responsibility for those students because I'm projecting so fully into them. I feel like I can almost recall instantly what it felt like to be 19 years old and you know, not understanding anything about how anything worked. Lileana and I first met as freshmen, actually in Princeton, many moons and many years before either of us realized that we were gonna wind up working together, but B, having careers in the arts.
Professor Sandberg was, you know, really influential. Again, like one of the people that encouraged me to actually like do a thesis show, and he introduced me to For Colored Girls Who Have Considered Suicide When the Rainbow Was Enough, which I then directed in the Matthew.
It was amazing. It was like raining after one of his classes, and he was like, walk with me to my office. And we walked in the rain under his umbrella, and then we get to I'm like mouthing off as you do. And then at some point he literally turned to me and he was like, I think you're a playwright and that's something you should deal with. And then he like abandoned me in the rain and like went on to his office. And I still to this day remember the feeling of turning around to go back to my dorm room and feeling like my life changed. But that was the kind of professor that Sandberg was. You know, he told you that and you were like, oh, I guess that's true. And like, here we are.
And I think about like all the guest artists that kind of came in, all the like workshops I took or the classes that I took that I'm like, oh my God, like this is how I was first introduced to so many things. And like to think about like us being like an introducer of things is kind of an insane experience, but it's also super liberating and fun.
Lileana's rehearsal rooms are famously very joyful places, you know, and I feel like we are being particularly joyful here.
Like
and sometimes, and sometimes I'm like, is this really unprofessional? But then I realize when I like really sit with myself, I think it is partly for the students because I realize in some ways they are looking at us like, these are professional, somewhat successful theater artists. How are they behaving? And it feels important to me to like insist on joy, being in this, being present with one's profession. And we've remarked a lot about how just like freaky intelligent the average student here. I mean, I'm having some of the best table work of my career because it's, you know, I don't know what that's about, but like.
Because these kids are smart, that's what it is about.
Right.